These cookies were part of a big pine tree that stood right in front of our house and provided a shelter for many different birds. During a strong storm, the tree broke apart and we had to cut it down for safety reasons, but I decided it would not just end up as firewood. Every tree deserves a second life through becoming furniture. George Nakashima's philosophy was one of the inspirations that led me to build this table. About 1.5 years ago, when I started working with wood, my mission was to design and build furniture that would fit our home. The biggest challenge was building everything to measure. Since I had absolutely no experience with furniture making or with working with machinery, it was an exciting challenge to try everything out and find the best approach for me. One thing I definitely discovered for myself is bow tie inlays. I can understand that some people don't like bow tie inlays or wood patches because they significantly alter the surface, but for me that's precisely what makes them so appealing and interesting. I find it incredibly beautiful to give a natural shaped piece of wood something that essentially holds it together. A purely wooden solution to prevent from further cracking. In a way, it represents the collaboration between humans and nature for me. I was a little unsure about the wood selection for the bow tie inlays and the table base. As you can see, the cookies have a very strong grain and a reddish hardwood. However, they are all rather rough. What also didn't look good was that, due to improper storage, the wood was infested with fungus and therefore had a strong blue discoloration. In the end, I decided on oak. Without the fungi infestation, I would have liked to use cherry to get closer in color to the red hardwood. That would have been beautiful. In total, I embedded 10 bow tie inlays into the 2 tabletops to prevent further cracking. I took my time with this step because I wanted the best possible result. The next step was to raise the tabletops to 2 different levels to create a floating effect. At least that was my plan. I had some rounded rectangular oak dowels left over from another project. As quickly became apparent when aligning them, they were far too delicate for these heavy pieces. So my cat came by and gave me some advice. After a bit of cuddling, I replaced him with 30mm round dowels. I'll probably have to replace my Forstner drill bit soon as well. I was incredibly surprised by how much weight these round dowels can easily support. For the table frame, I once again drew inspiration from George Nakashima. What fascinates me is the combination of naturally shaped wood with straight and textured design. And where better to use that than in furniture? At this point, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my channel and follow for more projects. The center support is not the middle of the frame, but rather in the first third. I thought that would be a nice little extra detail. I also incorporated height adjustable feet because our floor is very uneven. So far, I haven't found a house in Portugal where that wasn't the case. If you also live in Portugal and want to build some furniture, my advice is definitely to allow for enough space in building if your walls are crooked or your floors are uneven. By the way, the Japanese saws from Temple Tool are amazing. As I mentioned at the beginning, I was unsure about the wood. The blue discoloration in particular didn't look very appealing. After a bit of back and forth, I decided to treat the entire tabletop with a tinted hard wax oil. For contrast, I then stained the table frame a reddish tone. Only 1 year ago, a large pine tree stood perfectly straight on our property. A tree I never thought would fall or even break. But it did. It broke. Now it gets another chance to live on and have an impact here on this property, in the form of furniture. It might not be to everyone's taste, and I'm certainly no George Nakashima, but I'm very happy with the result and with what I learned while building this table. What's your favorite design in wooden furniture? Let me know in the comments. Now it stands here, and I can enjoy every day what was once a loved and needed tree. Thanks for watching.